Why does the world need multipolarity? Why does the world we are in today, in this noon time, why do we need multipolarity? Why is it important that we have multipolarity? Good morning, everyone. My name is Paul Tysley. I am a Liberian-born but U.S. citizen living here in this beautiful city of Sacramento, California, in this great United States of America. Today is June the 29th, 2026. Oh, my gosh, the month is coming to our end. Tomorrow, the last day of this month. The time is 6:30 a.m. here in Sacramento this morning. Out there is a little bit cold, even though we have sun shining, but the morning hour today is a little bit cold. That's what I have this one on. Here we are continuing with book reading. We started this program, which you are listening to, the Theocratic Ministry Talk. That's the name of this program. And we said this program is a spiritual and a religious forum. It's a platform created for religious matters. But these religious matters will also incorporate social, economic, political, whatever. I'm talking about everything. I don't want to, talk about, we'll be talking about love making and everything. Why? Because everything that is happening in the human world is being driven by forces. Because we are talking spirituality. So if we want to know the root cause of everything, then we have to start from the spirit realm. That is why the platform is a religious or spiritual platform, but these religious or spiritual issues culminate. The end point of everything is in the physical world. So don't say, oh, this is a religious thing. You say it's religious, it's, spiritual. Why are you going into politics? Why are you going into this and that? But the root of politics, the root of economy, the root of just everything. Don't exclude anything. Everything is in the spirit realm. You see the tree that is standing up. Let's just look at this analogy. The tree that is standing up that we are harvesting the fruit from, the apple for us to eat. What sustains it is right on the ground. The roots holds the tree. The roots absorb nutrients from the ground and feed the leaves, the branches, including the fruits you are eating. So the nourishing part that makes the tree to stand, to live, to exist is in the ground. You don't see it. This is how the human world looks like. The human world is the head, which is the branches of the spiritual part of God, spiritual creation. So today we are starting with our second book. This book, titled The Hidden Side of Multipolarity, is our second book for our book reading. We told you the issues we want to be discussing. We will be discussing them by way of reading the books that we published. We will read maybe a chapter, whether it be a page or a script, a paragraph, 2 pages. But then from the reading, we will begin to discuss something, lay emphasis on some things, or go into depth of certain things. That's how we intend to do this, to conduct this platform. So let's start reading this book. So the topic is, why does the word need multipolarity? So to start, this is page 7 of this book I show you. And on page 7, we have chapter 1, the starting of chapter 1. And the heading on this chapter 1 is the hidden side of multipolarity, exactly the title of this book. That's where we started from. So we are starting from chapter 1 of this book to read it. So it reads, each day in the news, there exists a discussion about multipolarity, a system of multiple players in global matters that calls for respect for every nation's independence in the world. It is a movement for like-minded countries struggling to break free from the domineering behavior of one nation or one group of people in our world. Multipolarity. Multipolarity. It's a movement. It is a movement that is being ignited by a group of nations with like mind that feel that it is not necessary or good anymore for one group of people or one nation to dominate everybody. That is the new thing, the new thinking. Multipolarity, it seeks to grant self-decision-making rights for manufacturing, exporting, technology sharing, and infrastructural development to every nation without any interference. So when you hear about multipolarity is like a freedom-fighting movement where every nation wants to do things on its own, such as it wants to have the right to manufacture its own things, to export its own things, to have technology or share technology among themselves, and to build infrastructure for their own nations without anyone telling them or interfering into their affairs. That's the spirit of multipolarity. That is the spirit that is driving the call for multipolarity. Since I was privileged more than 18 years ago, but right now, the time I wrote this book, then it was like 18 years ago. So now we're in 2026, so it should be more than 19 years ago. So 19 years and some months. That's what I'm talking about. So I read that again. Since I was privileged, I'm the author of this book. That's what I'm saying. I was privileged more than 18 years ago to have listened to an invisible being, a special messenger of God who commanded many other angels, who revealed to me several things encompassing what multipolarity means. I am pleased to share some of his messages with you by examining more deeply the issues facing our world and what lies ahead of us if we properly steward what is unfolding now. Initially, this is the historical context. Initially, the world was homogeneous. Every ancient group of people lived autonomously. Every Asian nation lived autonomously, doing things by themselves. Nobody had to control them. That was called people had their autonomy. They could do things by themselves. Every Asian nation, initially. Every Asian nation lived autonomously, developing self-sustaining methods that included farming, fishing, hunting, singing and dancing, healing, and crafting their own necessities. Every group of people from the very beginning, nobody was interfering with every group of people. They would do things by themselves. They're developing their own farming methods, their own fishing methods, what we call the agriculture, how to make food for themselves. They were crafting their own things, like making their own pots, those vessels for water and cooking, utensils, everything. They were making their own guns. They were carrying on their own healing, the herbal system. All of these things, every group of people from the beginning, say initially, were doing their own things without somebody coming to tell them what to do or how to do their things. That's how the world started, our human world. Subsequently, at some point in time, some people began to develop skills faster than others, which led to conquest, subjugation, and dictation. This is how imperialism and subordination came among mankind. This is how some parts of the world are left behind in human development. So this paragraph is saying that from the beginning, while everybody was autonomous, was doing everything by themselves, having their own autonomy, their own independence, their own freedom of doing things by themselves without anybody imposing on them. At some point in time, one group of humankind developed their skills faster. And they used their skills to conquer other people and subjugate them, that is, bring them under their control. You know what we're talking about? Like in war, you two nations or two kingdoms go to war, and one defeat the other one, and so capture the ex people, and the people become slaves, or if they are not slaves, but they will be paying taxes to the other and all whatever. But they are subordinate to the one that conquered them. That's the idea there. So at some point in time in our world, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, certain group of people, humankind, grew their own skills faster. Remember, everybody was born with skills. The skill of making guns, the skill of manufacturing things, making things by themselves, all of that time. Everybody was doing their own thing. So everybody had skills. But everybody's skills did not develop faster together. One group of humankind in our world developed their skill faster. And the fastest they develop their skill, the fastest they build things that could conquer other people's own things they made. And this is how they were able to conquer, let's assume, or put it this way, the rest of the world. And then they brought the rest of the world under their control, subjugation, and began to impose their wills on all the people they conquered, the rest of the world, which is the world dictation, dictating to everybody. This is how you should do things. This is why you should not do. This is a dictation. So conquest, subjugation, and dictation. It happened, or these things came about because one group of humankind developed their own natural skills faster. And of course, we are talking spirituality combined with physicality. So there is a reason one group of people develop their skill faster. We will be learning about it from the other book as we go through the reading of these books. So from this book is only talking about one group of people develop their skills faster. Then the other book, my second book, it is a book that is more spiritual than physical. This book is more physical, talk about many things about our human world or among ourselves, like economic, government system, and all of these things. This is this book that does that. The other book will do that, but it's more of spiritual matters, things from the spirit realm. So it is that book that will tell us why one group of people develop their skill faster. The reason they were able to conquer other people are in this situation by this time, I will say, the rest of the world. So by conquering the rest of the people and imposing their will on the people, it is what in the world is termed imperial rule. Imperial. Imposing their will on people. So we're talking about imperialism. And those who being placed on an imperial rule are subordinated to the other people. This is how ruling other people came about among us humankind. And this is how the rest of the world was left behind, began to drag its feet because they began to be controlled by other people. And so their own way of developing began to slow down. All of this has spiritual reasons. Europeans, when we say Europeans, we are talking about both Europe itself and America in this case, because Americans, the people who founded what is this country called America, not the indigenous people whom they met here, but the people who say this country is now called America, they came from Europe. So it is Europeans who established this place as a colony, and before the colony began to, began to fight for independence and gain its independence and say we are a people by ourselves, even though we came from Europe. But Europe, you have to leave us. We got to do things by ourselves because we are living in a different place and we need to do our own things. That's how America got its independence. It rebelled. America here rebelled against its people, its motherland, for independence. The independence other nations are fighting for and people are against. Nations that even against people getting their own independence, they fought for independence. So America fought Europe to become America, a country by itself, but it was not a country by itself from the beginning. So Americans are actually Europeans in the context of this book. That's why we say this paragraph is say Europeans. Americans are of European origin, otherwise referred to as Westerners. Europeans, otherwise referred to as Westerners. So it means European, the land, the continent, Europe itself, plus America, everything, and even Canada, other places, referred to as Western country or Western world. This Western world developed its skill, or the people of the Western world developed their skills faster and conquered the entire world. So they were the people the previous paragraph was referring to. The people who developed their skills faster and conquer other people. They are the Western people, the Europeans. Fast forward to the scientific period. Westerners work diligently to advance science, utilizing it to build their nations and sell goods to people worldwide. They establish rules and norms governing people worldwide. So these people developed their skills until time came and it reached to a point, a technical point, where now the terminology came from. It said technology. Science as a whole is the art of creating things. That is science. So everybody was born with science, but when science became technical, there where the word technology came from. Technical knowledge. Now, it's not your dictionary meaning. Please don't go in the dictionary. This is a spiritual meaning I'm giving. The word technology means technical knowledge. So, this technical knowledge, it comes about when people start to grow in their knowledge in the most complex way. Things become very complex to do, and there is a lot involved there. So they advance their knowledge until they grew into technology. So technology began to make them to produce a lot of goods, and they sold their goods to every nation around the world. Every nation. Europeans control the world through mechanized and everything. And so they use technology to build their nation, their societies, and their society begins sophisticated. And by all of this, everybody begin to look up to them. So then they had the opportunity to establish norms, rules, and regulations. I don't need to explain it, right? Everybody knows what I'm talking about. They establish all the rules and regulations that are now controlling the world, including norms, how people should do things that govern everybody in the world. Their languages and currencies began to spread, and everybody played by their rules, including being punished for breaking their rules. So they established the rule, they conquer everybody, they established their rules over everybody. And those rules and norms, whenever you break it, then they punish you. That's how everything started. Among them came one who stood atop, who ruled over the nations of origin. The Americans, people of the United States of America, came from Europe. However, they now exert significant influence over Europe. So as we said earlier, the America came out of Europe, but later it is the one that started ruling Europe. America now dictates to Europe. I put it as an analogy in the book here, as little comparison, just to make a joke, like a man born a child, and the child developed well, the child became wealthier, and so now the father or the parents, mom and father living with a child, because the child becomes wealthier. Even though they born a child and the child now is wealthier, so the child is far capable of taking care of their life. I'm talking about in the situation where you don't have anything saved for yourself. So now you start living with your child. And when you are living with your child automatically become the one who make rules for you, because it's the child that provides food for you. So the day the child doesn't have to give it, the child doesn't how to call it, provided, and you don't eat, you starve. All of that, it happens. So that is what is happening here now between Europe and America. America is the wealthier child and is now ruling the Europe, controlling the father and the mother. This is how the Americans took over the entire world through cajolement. Cajolement is a terminology about being persuasive. Sweet talking. Yeah, sweet talking. Sweet talking make them to, take over the world. Leaning on their advanced science and military power, this is how the world ended up being unipolar, a system in which one nation or group rules over all people. And on this unipolar system, all countries looked up to one country for everything, whether it be education, scientific. Education means scientific learning. Whether it be finance, finance means loan system, granting, giving grants, the operation of non-governmental organization. All of these things we learned them from the Westerners. Institutions building, which is the court system. The whole world took over the Western way of, court system, judging cases, and other institutions like the United Nations. They established the International Monetary Fund about, certain rules of money and all of that. The World Bank, the World Health Organization, the World Trade Organization. All of these things came from these people. NOPS, human rights system, they bring about human rights. Sea travel rights, they set the rule for how people should travel on the route. Oh, this one is so ridiculous to me. So they go to your country, and the water that God gave you that is in your area, then they will tell you, this water, this is the place where you stop. This part is what you own. This other part is called international water, is for everybody. That they set the rule. Nobody tell them that. They set the rule. So what is sea, border, or the water? The water that falls in your land naturally. The river passes through your land. But they will go there and tell you that there's a certain part of that is for you. This other part is international, is for everybody to be on it. That's how things have been, and we have all gotten used to it. Cultural ways. So there are cultural ways of life, such as the matter of speaking. This way I'm speaking, some of them would not understand me, but if I'm speaking to them, I have to try by all means. Since I was not born here in America, so I have to try to, I don't know how I will put it, make it sound like I'm talking their way. But I grew up in Africa before coming here, so it's very difficult for me to do all that. But I have to try hard to change my way of talking so they will understand me. But they don't go to our countries to try to change their way of talking. They still talk their way. But we force everybody. It's still, the way of dressing. Every day now, everybody wear tie. If you don't wear coat suit and all of that on occasions, mostly around the world, you're not seen as, a civilized person or so. Even foods now, all of these things. Trade and entertainment. Oh, yes, entertainment. All of these things I'm talking about. I'm naming all of these things to emphasize how the world became unipolar, meaning one group of people or one nation ruling the entire world, ruling everybody. That is what we are talking about. The Americans not only exported their money and learning system, they introduced their dress code, singing and dancing, even their love-making practices. So much so that everyone around the world mimics everything, copy everything about them, which makes every human group appear inferior ultimately. Thus, the best people in the world became the Americans, and no one values their own things. So, as you know, you have heard, we all even love making. Imagine how we are breaking the rules of sex. When we go into the spiritual area, then you will see how we have all offended God by following the rules or the cultural practices of certain people whose cultural ways of doing things have so much away from how the Almighty God wants us to do. But we all do these things. While we say we are Christians, there is a lot that we do in sex, what is called love making. There is a lot that we do. I don't want to sound rude here because a lot of people will say, why are you saying all those things? But start thinking yourself. What is it that you do in a corner, in the bedroom? Two of you. How do you do things there? When we come to spirituality, you will see how dirty we all are. Oh yes, we are dirty and filthy before God because of the things we do, the way we are conducting sex. There is a lot that has deviated from the way the one who created sex, he wanted us to do it. There is a lot that we do with it that comes from the other kingdom. Because there are two kingdoms spiritually that are ruling this world. In fact, one kingdom dominates this world, and one is only quiet, is sitting down and watching. When we come to spirituality, we'll go into those things. So the one that dominates this world, it introduces its own thing. So the right way is there, and the other ways are there. They are all defined as love making in today's world. So I know you know what I'm talking about. There are a lot we do. A lot. So we are not dealing with a spiritual book, so I will not be calling those things that we do inside there in the bedroom. Yet, we are Christians, right? We are Christians. So in my first video, in one of my videos, I already said, I think it's in my introductory part, my first video, which is the introductory part, where I said, I am not righteous, so I'm not here to preach or teach righteousness, to make people to be righteous. But the specific statement I made in that video is that because God knows how the world is already. That's what I meant in that video when I said, because God knows. That's why he is not here, the God who arrested me and sent me on a mission to come and review us on things. He says he does not have time for talking about who is righteous, who is not righteous. That is not the time. The dispensation for telling people how to do things right is over. So he already knows how filthy the world is. This world in which we are, even while we say we are Christians. Whatever we say we are, no matter how we say we are good. And there are so many things we do. Even if you are not having sex, you don't have woman. You still do certain things spiritually that are offensive to God. Even if you don't have men, even if you don't have woman, there are certain things you do. Oh, we're not going to talk about them because human being, let the ministry grow to a certain level before we start naming some of these things, which will take maybe some months or a year before we will go deeper into some things. It's still young, immature. So, because we all pick up the American ways of life, so automatically it makes all nations inferior artificially, not by God's design, but artificially by man's design, by other people's design. Other people become inferior. So now we have in this world where some people feel inferior and others feel, and by way of how things work, it is true, but not how God wanted it. By how things are going, that is true. There is one group that is superior and one is inferior. So tell me, the one who and you went to battle and conquered you, who is more powerful? That's the inferiority we're talking about here. The superiority and inferiority we're talking about. The ones who conquer you in a battle automatically becomes superior than you, right? And the person dictates to you, tell you, say, sit down, you sit down. Stand up, you stand up. Run, you run. That's the superiority aspect we're talking about. It doesn't mean God created some people to be superior. When it comes to the spiritual aspect, then there's nobody superior. God made everybody equal. And that's how it was supposed to be. But the reason we have some people developing skills faster and which make them superior than others is rooted in the spirit realm. And so we said we shall visit our other book where we will discuss it, why and how it came about. And this is what is causing conflicts in the world. On the topic, what caused the delay of multipolarity, you can learn the spiritual origin of this disparity that is found in human development. It's a disparity. One group of people higher than others. It's a disparity. That is not by God's design for one to be superior and one inferior. It is not by God's design. So that disparity is rooted or originated from somewhere. I want to break here today to come back another time to continue this story on another subtopic called God's original intent for humanity. So, I don't know if you are understanding what we are doing here. I was arrested 20 years on now. That was in 2005, which was the time I was arrested, December 2005. But I usually start counting my spiritual journey from 2006, because that was when I was put in the school of the Spirit to start learning the things that I was later commissioned to come and bring to reveal to us. So the time I enter the school of the Spirit is the time I usually start counting. So from 2006 to this 2026, it should be 20 years, but by the time we reach December of 2026, then we say 20 years. So we say 19 years ago and some months now. when God showed me so many things and told me to come and help us understand his word or understand him. In fact, he will say, the messenger that he sent, the angels will say, God is here to vindicate himself because mankind has been accusing him of being responsible for so many things. So he has heard all of these things, and that's why he arrested somebody from the black race, this time to use from the black race to bring understanding to us. So these are the things. The reason we have conflicts in this world, is because of the disparity that was created in the spirit realm by some forces in the spirit realm, introduced to the human world and cause division among mankind. And is also causing man to fight among themselves and kill each other, all for the benefit of that very side that cause disparity, cause confusion, so that will achieve its means and objective. So if you are not here from the very beginning, when I introduced myself, once again, my name is Paul Tassler. I am a Liberian born but a U.S. citizen residing here in Sacramento City, California. I want to say have a blessed Monday today. Bye-bye. Bye.